Without warning, without planning, someone stumbled upon the truth about you. They tried to divert their attention, tried to forget, but the signs were too strong. Now there's no turning back. No matter how much they tried to avoid it, everything leads to the same destination. You. Every memory, every detail, every thought confirms what once seemed impossible to accept. The decision has been made. Someone is not going to give up anymore. The resistance has broken for a long time. There was denial. Attempts to move on, to put up barriers, to treat their feelings as something temporary. But ignoring it didn't erase anything. Running away only made everything more evident. You are in every detail. In the silence of a lonely night, in the middle of an ordinary day, in a name that appears out of nowhere, in a scent, in a song that inexplicably brings you back. Trying to convince themselves that all of this was just coincidence was a mistake. Because none of it is chance, because deep down it was already clear. But now they can't pretend anymore. Someone finally understood what this means, and there is no more resistance. The decision that changed everything, the truth arrived like a shock, in the midst of the daily routine, in the rush, at the most unexpected moment. It came like a snap, like a certainty that was never spoken but had always been there. Now everything is clearer. There is no more room for doubt. The decision has been made, and this time there's no going back. Someone chose to face it, chose to follow the signs, to choose you. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. It doesn't matter the obstacles. It doesn't matter the difficulties. The truth is greater than any fear, and that decision has already been made. What does this mean now? It means that this story isn't finished. It means that no matter how much they tried to distance themselves, no matter how much they tried to pretend it was all a mistake, it's now impossible to deny. It means that each thought leads you to a single destination, that each memory has a name, a face, a feeling. It means that someone is going to go all the way to see where this can lead, and this changes everything. The fear of what comes next. Yes, there is fear. Fear of what might happen, fear of being wrong, fear that after so long nothing will be the same as before. But fear doesn't erase truths. Fear doesn't change feelings. Fear doesn't undo signs. And someone has realized that they can no longer live with this doubt, that they can no longer go on without answers, that they can no longer ignore what has been proven in every possible way. The fear exists, but it will no longer be an obstacle. The impulse that brings me to you, something has changed, something that makes the desire to act grow stronger each day. The need to know, to understand, to feel, to listen. The need to look into your eyes and see if you feel the same. The need to stop postponing, to stop running away, to finally face what has always been there. There are no more barriers. There are no more doubts. There is only one certainty. Someone won't give up anymore. With each passing day, the distance shrinks. It doesn't matter how much time has gone by. It doesn't matter how many times the paths have diverged. Everything always finds a way to come back. Someone realized that running away doesn't change the destination, that trying to ignore it only prolongs the inevitable. That, the more you deny, the stronger it becomes. And now, the approach has already begun. First, the persistent thought came, the one that invades your mind at the most random moments. Then the signs came, coincidences that are impossible to ignore, memories that appear without permission, that feeling that something is about to happen. Now, there is no more resistance. The next step is closer than ever. The doubt that needs answers. What if it's too late? What if nothing is like it used to be? What if, after so long, things no longer make sense? These questions have arisen, of course. Fear always shows up when something big is about to happen, but doubt cannot be greater than the truth. Because deep down, the only question that really matters now is, what if there is still time? What if this is the right moment? What if everything that has happened so far was just the necessary path for things to finally fall into place in the right way? There's only one way to find out, and someone has already decided that they need this answer. The courage to allow oneself. For a long time, pride spoke louder. Insecurity, uncertainties, the fear of what could happen, but there's no more room for that. Now what matters is knowing. It doesn't matter if the answer is different from what was expected. It doesn't matter if destiny brings surprises. What matters is that someone needs to face this once and for all. They need to look into your eyes. They need to hear your voice. They need to understand if all of this that you feel is just an illusion, or if you feel the same way too. Because not knowing that is far worse than any answer. And someone has already decided that they can no longer live with this doubt. The first step is about to be taken. There are no more excuses. There are no more delays. The moment is approaching. It could be an unexpected reunion, a name popping up on the phone screen, an invitation that comes out of nowhere. It could be a glance in the crowd, a message that breaks the silence, a confession that has been kept for too long. But something is about to happen. After all, someone isn't going to give up anymore. And are you ready for this? The moment is right there, closer than ever. There's a kind of tension in the air, an invisible expectation. The calm before the storm. Because something is going to happen. It's no longer a distant possibility. It's no longer a loose idea among confusing thoughts. Now it's real. The decision has been made, and the first step is already being drawn. Someone is just moments away from breaking the barrier of time, distance, and fear. What is about to happen could change everything, and change it forever. The impact of first contact. What happens when something long awaited finally becomes a reality? The heart races, hands tremble, breathing becomes heavy, but none of that matters, because what's done is done. The first contact occurs. Perhaps it's a name written in a message. Perhaps it's a glance that cuts through the crowd. Perhaps it's a voice, a sound that brings back everything that was left behind. The impact is immediate. There's no way to pretend that nothing is happening. There's no way to go back. The truth is there, stronger than ever. And now? What comes next? The truth that can no longer be hidden. There's no longer any way to hide. There's no longer any way to pretend it was a mistake, that it was an impulse, that it was a moment of weakness. Because if it were just a moment, it would have passed. But it hasn't passed. The gaze says it all. The words, even if few, carry an unbearable weight. The silence between one sentence and the next says more than any explanation. The feeling that was repressed, suffocated, hidden, now overflows. Time hasn't erased it. Distance hasn't destroyed it. Fear hasn't won. And now? What to do with this? The meeting of what was and what could be. What remains of the past is still there. Memories, sensations, stories that haven't been forgotten, but now the past is not the only focus. What matters is what can happen from here on, what can be built, rebuilt, lived. A path is opening up, a new beginning, perhaps, but the first step has already been taken, and now anything could happen. The moment of choice. The truth has already been laid bare, the impact has already been felt, but now comes the hardest part, because despite everything, despite what has been said, felt, lived, there's still a choice to be made. Move forward, or leave everything behind once and for all. Persist in what is so evident, or allow time to decide once again. Silence is heavy. The gaze searches for answers, but one thing is already clear. This time, someone is not giving up. And now all that's left is for you to decide. The choice is right there, pulsating between moments. Move forward or retreat. Fear whispers that there's still time to back out, that it's easier to pretend nothing happened, that everything can just be buried again, that this story can return to being just a memory. But desire screams. It demands to be heard. It pushes toward the inevitable. It doesn't allow for any more avoidance, and now the decision weighs heavily, because there's no more room for doubt. The answer that cannot be delayed. Eyes meet. The silence, which once carried fear, now holds a million unspoken words. The past, present, and future blend in a fraction of a second. Everything that was felt, everything that was avoided, everything that was held back is there, alive, latent, waiting to be recognized. But someone has already made their decision. Now, it's just up to you. The weight of the truth spoken aloud. The words form in the mind before being spoken. The heart races, the breath becomes heavy, and the moment stretches out too long. But then, without further ado, without masks anymore, the truth is spoken. It doesn't matter how the words are chosen. Maybe they're direct, sharp as a blade. I never forgot you. Maybe they're whispered, fearing the impact they might have. I tried to move on, but I couldn't. Maybe they come laden with relief, like something that needed to be said a long time ago. I always knew it would be you, and now there's nothing more to be done because the truth has been laid bare. The silence that decides fate. And now? What do you do when the truth is on the table, naked, raw, irreversible? Time stops. Silence settles in. The gaze searches for answers, and then comes the only thing that truly matters, your answer. Because the choice has already been made on one side. Now the other half of this story needs to decide, step forward or walk away forever. And that decision is yours. The moment that changes everything. Nothing will ever be the same after this. It doesn't matter what the answer is. If it's a yes, the world gains a new meaning. The pieces fall into place, walls come down, and what seemed impossible becomes real. If it's a no, the impact will be like an invisible cut, deep and silent, but final. Whichever path is chosen, this story will never be forgotten. And someone is still there, waiting for just one thing, your decision. And now, what will it be? What comes next? What do you feel in this moment? The answer lies in your chest, in your gaze, in the tremble of your hands. The destiny is open, waiting only for a single sound, your voice, your truth, your choice, and someone won't leave without hearing it. Time stretches. Every second feels like an eternity. There's nowhere left to run. The weight of the decision is there, pulsing in the air, waiting for the outcome that could change everything. Someone doesn't look away. They wait. They hold their breath. There's no more nervousness, no more fear of what might be said. Just the certainty that this moment had to happen, and now everything depends on you. The first movement. Maybe it's a deep breath, a failed attempt to find just the right words for something that can never be fully explained. Maybe it's a glance away, a hesitant motion, a fear mixed with anticipation. Or maybe it's something more direct, an answer that comes without filters, without preparation, without rationalization, something that has been held back for too long, something that needs to be said now. What comes after the truth? What happens when the answer is finally spoken? If it's a step forward, everything changes. The world around disappears, the past dissolves. There is only the now, and what can be built from here on out. If it's a step back, the distance becomes final. There's no going back, no more assumptions, no more sleepless nights pondering what could have been. But one thing is certain, no one leaves this moment the same, because this moment will echo forever. The impact of choice. There's no erasing what has been said. There's no pretending nothing happened. Now everything is clear, and everyone has to deal with what was decided. If there is a reunion, it starts here. If there is a farewell, it's sealed now. But one way or another, this story will never be forgotten. The certainty that remains, regardless of the answer, one truth remains. Someone never gave up on you. Someone waited for this moment, believed, felt, desired, and now everything that needed to be done has been done. The fate is in your hands. And what happens from here is entirely up to you. The silence continues to weigh heavily, but now it has a different meaning. It no longer carries just doubt, fear, or hesitation. Now, the silence carries something much greater. Anticipation. Anticipation of a gesture, of a word, of a response that could seal the fate of it all. Someone doesn't look away, because there's no more shame, no more fear. There's only the truth, and that truth now belongs to you. The heart beating harder. Each heartbeat seems louder. The chest rises and falls in an irregular rhythm, because you feel. The impact is there, pulsating in the air, pressing against your lungs, making it impossible to ignore. The whole story flashes before your eyes. Every mistake, every lost moment, every moment that could have been different, but none of that matters anymore, Because what matters now is what comes next. The decision that can no longer be put off. There are no more excuses. There's no more time for uncertainty. The choice needs to be made now, and there's no one left to decide but you. What will it be? A step forward? A step back? The fate ready to be sealed. The last chance. If the words aren't spoken now, they may never be. If the step isn't taken now, the path may never exist. If this story doesn't continue now, it may remain just a trace of something that could have been, but wasn't. And then, the wait is at its limit. Time is running out. The last chance is here, and someone is still there waiting for you. The outcome only you can provide. If everything experienced so far means something, it will be now that the truth comes to light. If all of this was real, it will be now that the words will come out. If this meeting was meant to happen, it will be now that the answers will arise, but if it's the end, it will also be now. Because this moment will not come again, and the only thing missing is for you to choose. The moment has arrived, there's no turning back. The choice is in your hands. What would you do? Comment, leave your like, and subscribe for more stories that make your heart race.